friends, I wanted to hop on and do a little guided painting video. I was on Pinterest and saw a bunch of these really neat little paintings, and I know a lot of us are looking for things to do, so I thought that I would go ahead and do this and videotape it for you guys. It took me forever to get my camera set up like this, so hopefully this works. I thought my Elmo was hard to set up. This is harder. And hopefully my dog is quiet and my kids are quiet while this is going on, but if not, we will just roll with the punches. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is wet my paints. So I'm just grabbing a little bit of water and dropping it on each color. And I go ahead and do each color just because I never know what I'm going to want to use. I probably won't use the white, but who knows? You never know. What we're going to be painting today, it's called a geode, I think. It's a rock, basically. And the reason that it grabbed my attention is because before everything was kind of closed down for the COVID-19, my class was studying the Earth's different systems, these 4 spheres. So the geosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. And so this is a rock, and I thought that it would pair really well with our science units. Anywho, that's why it struck my interest, and it's fairly simple, so I thought it might be a video that I could do. So what I need to do first is make sure that I have my painting stuff all set up. This is an old paper towel. Here's my paint palette. This is one that I got at Mary Artist in McMinnville. It's a fun little palette, and it has these colors, and I can't remember if this brush came with this set or not, but this is one of my favorite brushes. It's little, I think it did come in here because it's like travel size. Anyway, I also really love this brush. It's just a long brush, and then this brush I really like. So I have like 3 different sizes. Not sure that I'll need this big one, but I wanted it to wet my paints. I'll probably use these 2 the most, maybe. We'll see. Who knows? Whoa! I know that not everybody is gonna have watercolor paints and brushes, and this is actually watercolor paper. So also what I was gonna try and do is show you a couple, after I do this, show you another way that you might try this painting at home. Okay, I don't know why I'm nervous. Teach in front of 27 kids all day, but I've never really videotaped it. So the first thing you want to do is pick the colors that you want to work with. In my class, we all know that my favorite color is green, so I thought that I would use my greens for today. And you can see I'm just separating this really fun little painting palette so that I can mix some more greens. So I hope you can see everything. Okay, this is weird. So I'm just gonna get my first color going. So it's watercolor, so the key ingredient here is going to be water. I'm going to be using all different tones of green for the most part. And I'm just getting a bunch of these really pretty greens started. This is old, but it's still good because it's watercolor. All I have to do is just add water and kind of mix it up. Watercolor is awesome because of that. So I've got 2 really fun greens going right there, and then I'm going to grab some from here. I'm sorry if you guys are staring at my arm. We'll just go with it. Okay, and that's a really pretty green too. It's very similar to that, but we can always change it up as I get going. Okay, so I'm not going to use any pencil, but if you feel more comfortable, you can do just a very organic circular shape about your palm size in your paper. What I'm going to do, since I'm not using a pencil on my paper, is I'm just going to grab my brush, and I'm grabbing clean water, and I'm just going to lay down a very organic, and when I say organic, my students would tell you that that means very free flowing, watery line. So we're not going for straight or perfect. We're going for organic, which means probably a shape that you would find in nature. Okay. Oh, awesome. I think you can see it. Anyway, now that I have that, I'm just going to make sure that I have a good bunch of water, and the thickness of my water stripe is not going to be consistent, but that's kind of what we want since we are going to be painting a geode rock. I'm going to go ahead and go with this really tealy green. It's like an emerald green, really. And I have filled my brush. You probably can't see it. So you can see that I just scooted up on my brush because I want to have a little bit more control, because I'm going to put the paint mostly along the outer edge of my water that I painted on there, because I want it to more naturally spread into the rest of the water on my paper. Kind of like that. So far the kids are quiet, and so is my dog, so that's awesome. And I'm gonna pull it all the way, and you can see as my color gets lighter, I want a really vivid, so a really, really bright, full of color on my outside here. And sorry, I'm breathing hard. I just ran 4 laps on the track. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it kind of is for me right now. And I might just grab some, you can see I'm over here in my palette just pulling right from that emerald, because I want it to be really dark out here. Ooh, that's nice. Do you see that? That's what we're going for. So, and I am pulling it along this outside so that, again, it's not gonna naturally spread more into the water a little bit. I'm doing the wet on wet painting technique right now. So wet on wet means I have wet paint and I have wet paper. Super fun. This is gonna be so cool, you guys. Oh, there. Ooh, that's really pretty. Do you see? That's kind of what we're going for. And then I'm gonna rinse my brush, and I'm gonna grab my really long one again. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You could probably, if you don't have a brush, you could even use a Q-tip. It'll take longer, but it's possible. Or if your mom has some makeup brushes that she wouldn't mind you using, those are great too, but you need to ask before you do that, because they might get mad and we don't want that. And what I just started doing now, I don't know if you can see it as much, so I'm going to plop a little bit of color. I'm doing another water line, and I'm coming in about a finger width from my emerald green, and this is just water. I put a little green on there. It looks like there's some brown on my brush somewhere. And again, it's very organic, meant to be very organic. And it's just inside, about a finger width inside my emerald green stripe that I did. How's that? Okay, so I'm trying to get the light to show you. Now, you can use the same color if you want. I'm gonna pull this more of a grass green. I'm gonna get some more paint in there. And again, this is gonna be along this outer edge of my water stripe. You might wanna watch this whole video before you get started. I'm not sure. To be honest, I didn't practice this painting before. I just wanted to do it so that I wouldn't overthink it. So I've talked myself out of doing it like 4 times. I don't know why. I don't know why it makes me nervous. So, silly. Okay. And I'm pulling a little bit more paint than water because I found that on there I wanted the really vivid color along the outer edge of the water line that I painted. Again, it's not meant to be straight or anything. You can kind of see my brush kind of wiggles and stuff, that's really pretty. That's kind of what we're going for right there. Do you see how the paint just kind of did what it wanted? That's the strength of watercolor. Oops, should have washed my brush a little bit more, but again, no worries. It is all good. I'm adding more water because my paper was sort of drying out. And again, I want to have that wet on wet kind of free-flowing paint happening. Okay, so we've got our emerald green, and then we've got our grass green, and I'm going to do another water stripe inside of my grass green. And again, aim for about a finger width from where the color kind of stops, because you do want it to be a lot of color and then some white from the paper, a lot of color and then some white from the paper. I hope I'm not going too fast, but it's hard when I don't have my students telling me to wait. Ooh, this one, I don't know if you guys can see the water, but this one's really organic and kind of wibbledy, and I really like that. Wibbledy is a technical term. I'm gonna grab some yellow and I'm gonna see what it does in my emerald green, and that's like my favorite color right there. So I'm gonna put it in there. Ooh, so pretty. What I like about these is that they're simple, and you can have different colors like blues and greens or blues and purples, or you can do what I'm doing and just kind of stick with different hues or different hues in the same color family. Ooh, I like it. I like it so much. Okay, rinsing my brush again. And then in here, it's going to be hard to get that finger width going on, but that is okay. Just do your best. No stress. This is just for fun. Okay, and I have a little bit of dry paper in the center there. Now, I think I'm going to hop back and pull some more of that emerald just to tie in this outer color all the way through my painting. My Geode painting. You guys should look that up and make sure I'm saying that correctly. And it's really vivid, and I love it. And you can kind of see it kind of just does whatever it wants in that water, and that's exactly what we're going for. We're giving the paint the control, but I am holding closer up here on my brush so that I keep it in the water. I'm not trying to let it go into that white space too much. But really have fun with it. There's no wrong, which is awesome. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to grab my paper towel, and I'm just going to kind of dry up my paint that I laid on there. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just fanning it. Do not pick up the paper. Just fan on it. Okay, and now I'm using my hand. I could use my hairdryer, but it's too loud. The reason we're blowing on it, adding air to it, is because I want this color to set. Some paintbrush on there. I want this color to set. You could grab some salt, just a little bit if you wanted to, and kind of throw it on there and see what that does in your paint if you wanted to. Maybe in painting number 2. I really like this spot right here. I always try and find my favorite place on the painting. I like this spot too. I really like what the paint did here. I think it's important to find your favorite place in the painting. Right there's really pretty. Each time you stop and kind of transition to the next part. Get that off there. There. Because sometimes if I just looked at this right now, I'd be like, that's kind of not the best painting I've seen, but it's not finished yet, so you don't want to judge it too much before it's done. So again, I'm trying to get my paper more dry, and you can kind of touch it and see how it's doing. This is still very, very wet, because that will help this paint set, because we're going to be doing another layer of paint. So a geode is like a rock. So on the outside, it just kind of looks like, you know, grays and browns and whatnot. And then on the inside is this really pretty layered look. You should ask your parents if you can look some pictures up, or it's on Pinterest. That's where I started seeing it. Just popped up on Pinterest, and then I was like, I wonder if I could paint those. And then I saw a bunch of watercolor paintings. I was like, yes, we are doing that. Well, I'm doing that, and then I'm posting it. So we'll see if you're doing it. Who knows? Okay, I think I'm going to check it. So my middle is still quite wet, and that's okay. I'm going to go with it. So I don't want the video to be too long. So I've got a clean brush. It's just got water on it right now. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting water. I'm hopping back out to that outer edge. Water, even I'm going to cover this whole stripe with just water, this white stripe. And it's going to touch this emerald green that I did, and that's totally fine. I love what's happening right here too, by the way, you guys. Remember, find the places on your painting that you like each time we transition to the next step. I really do think that's important because your paintings are beautiful each time, and I want you guys to see what I see. So, and it's okay. See, I'm dropping water on my paper. I'm not worried about it because this is super organic and it's just water. So you can see my paint isn't really spreading, and that's because we set it, quote unquote, set it with the air. We let it dry. So this is very wet. So I'm gonna grab some of this emerald again because that's the color I had here. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is old paint too. It's kind of a brown blue. It's like a slate blue browny color. And what that is doing to my emerald is it's kind of dulling it. And I'm using quite a bit of water. So it looks really bright on here, but I'm going to, or not bright, but vivid. I'm going to add some more water, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to paint it, make sure that it spreads over there. And I'm not fully bringing it over to my grass green. Can you see that? But I am kind of rubbing it in there because I want it to be transparent. And then I want it to still look like it's getting lighter the closer it gets to my grass green. But I still want that really light. Oh, that was wet. That's really pretty. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera or not, but it's pretty. Anything green, in my opinion, is pretty, but... So maybe you should paint with your favorite color first, and then you'll just be like, oh, so pretty. It's a great idea. All right, doing a little just kind of dabbing just to give it some fun groupings of color. My dog is licking her feet. I know, I hope you guys can't hear that because she's silly. Okay, there. Okay, so you should have this really bright, vivid color on the outside of your geode, and then it should have this dulled out color as it comes in. If you want more vivid, there's kind of a line here, which is totally fine because that happens in real geode rocks. But if you want to come in at this point and just kind of plop some super vivid flecks of, well, I'm using emerald green, but if you're using a different color, and since we have this wet on wet again, it's gonna kind of do some really fun stuff. So I have very little water on my paintbrush, but my paper is still very wet. And so that's why I'm getting that really fun wet on wet thing. Oh, it's so pretty, so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I'm rinsing my brush. This was my grass green color. So again, I'm going to grab that grass green. Now I used up that old paint, but that is okay. So first grab that color again that you used for your second stripe in your geode. Get some water in there, and I'm just gonna grab a little bit of brown. Brown's gonna be, in this case, gonna be the more strong color. So I want to grab a little bit and mix it. And what's really cool about this paint is it's made out of actual like minerals and stuff. So sometimes I have to really work those and break them up since it is dry. And that's a really pretty olive green, and I'm gonna use that. I could add in that blue if I wanted. Maybe I will, just a smidge there. That's really cool. Again, lots of water. I'm gonna be, oh wait, I have to fill this area now with the water. I almost forgot. It would have been fine, but sticking with a pattern here. That is so cool. Do you guys see what it's doing? Watercolor paint gradually keeps moving, even if you've moved on from that area. And so sometimes you've moved on. See, even here, that looks really cool. And you come back, you're like, wait a second, it's changed. Okay, so I got that really nice and wet. I'm gonna grab this really watery olive green color. Oh, I hope you can't hear my kids. And I'm going to, oh, it's super pretty. It's very transparent, which is awesome with painting. And sometimes math, I think it's easier to add than subtract. Once you get paint on there, sometimes it can be more difficult to pick it up and lift it out. It's possible, but it can be difficult. So, easier to add than subtract here. That's really pretty. Really nice and transparent, which is what we want. And I'm pulling it over onto my grass green because I want there to be those two kinds of layers of color playing on each other there. My kids, my dog, oh my gosh, it's never quiet here. That's okay. That is okay. And again, if you want more strong color, I'm gonna grab just some of that grass green, and I might do a little bit of that bloop bloop on here just to really set it apart. Oh, so pretty. Love it. I think they are playing Legos. And they tend to get really into it. Very pretty. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Now, this layer was the emerald and the grass green mix. That's what I have here. And I still have quite a bit of it, so I'm not going to get any more, but I am gonna add water. There, we're nearing the end, but stick with me. Again, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of brown because I want to kind of dull out these colors. That is so pretty. Look at that. It's like forest green now. I will go ahead and grab just a tiny touch of blue. Very like evergreen forest moss color. I love it. It's a little too vivid, so its color is really strong, which makes me nervous putting it on there. So you can just see I just grabbed a bunch of water and I'm mixing it. And I want it there. It's nice and transparent, so I can still see that really pretty grass green as I paint it on, but then I hope that didn't mess up. But then it is still pulling over. To my last layer of emerald there.